Hello, loyal listeners. Hello, loyal viewers. Welcome to Brassbannedcast, the podcast about love, life, music, band, rehearsal, split notes, intonation, and showing up late to podcasts. I'm Tim. And Robin, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. And we have very special guests. Every week is another special guest, isn't it?
Every week we do a podcast. There's another special guest, which is pretty much
Well, we
every
don't
week.
do a podcast every week, which is apologies to you. But today we have Megan Stapleton. Everyone say hi.
Hi, Megan.
People at home are saying hi. Hi, Megan.
Hi, everyone. Hello. It's good to be here.
Yay. And
Thank
we've
you
had
for
a
joining
break,
us.
but yeah, thank you, Megan, for joining us. We had a little bit of a rest, didn't we, Tim?
We did. Well, that's very nice of you, Robin. We had a break because I stood Robin up about 3 or 4 times for podcast recordings because, whoops. Yeah, Robin's
That's
been
okay.
raring and ready to go and life just got in the way. But here we are. We're back.
We're here.
We're
I
podcasting.
know, because it's just because every time I do something, I'm like, I want to talk about this on the podcast, and then I don't have an outlet, and I just have to tell other people, and it's not as fun as telling
Do-
all
do
the
they-
loyal listeners.
Do
about
they
my life.
appreciate that? Do the other people appreciate that?
I don't know. It's you get addicted to it. You get addicted to sharing your life and thinking your life is interesting. But anyway, you might think my life is interesting, or you might not. I don't know. Well, how's our life been since our last podcast?
Robin,
Tim.
tell me, no, Robin, please. Your life must be
Oh.
so interesting. I feel like we need to know, what have you been up to in the past 5
All of
or
our
6
lives
weeks?
have been interesting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. So Megan, I don't know if you've listened to our podcast, but we start with talking about our weeks, but it's been a long week. It's been like 2 months. So we had Women in Brass. Megan and I can talk about Women in Brass, and Tim came to that too. That
I
was
was there.
fun. I went to a Willoughby band rehearsal. Remember the
Nice.
last podcast was
With Dom.
Dom invited me to Willoughby band rehearsal, and then as he was listening, he reminded me by text message to come, and I actually went to a rehearsal. So that was exciting. What else? We had some gigs. We had this like parade through the city. There was a cool parade. There was an American marching band in this parade through Melbourne.
Oh, nice.
That was fun.
That's very
Yes.
fancy.
I played the snare drum on that march. Normally, I'm not trusted with the snare. I learned how to roll. So that was exciting. What else? We went to the Alpine Festival and we hung out with Fenella and Wodonga Band.
Oh,
And that was
Fenella.
awesome.
Great.
Yeah. I feel like more exciting things have happened. I should have written them down.
That's a lot.
How about you, Tim? What have you
Robin,
been doing?
that's so busy. That's so busy. I'm very impressed. What have I been doing? I don't know. I haven't been doing a whole lot of band stuff, but then suddenly I realized I've been doing heaps and heaps of band stuff. So
Yeah, you
women
had like a concert, didn't you? Didn't you have a
probably, yeah.
movies concert? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a music concert. That's right. Where there was a movies cabaret concert with the mighty
Yeah.
Footscray Yarraville City Band. And then we're getting ready for the Victorian State Band Championships, which looks like being the biggest
Yes.
state band championships in Victoria in like forever.
It's going to be so big.
Heaps
We'll
of
talk about
bands.
that. Yeah.
And then might have been the week before last. So Footscray Yarraville City Band is historically quite a famous band in Australia, especially in Melbourne. We actually had some gold records in the 70s. So there were gold records because some of our records were very popular, sold heaps and heaps of copies. And those gold records... the
Back when
originals-
people brought
Yeah.
brass band music.
That's right. And those gold records actually went missing in the early 1990s. The council was knocking over the band hall, and the folklore within the band is, the records were stolen and someone saw a wrecking ball hitting the wall and had to run in and grab the stuff. So don't tell anyone. Hopefully no one's listening. But for the past like 30, 40 something years, we've had spray painted regular records, spray painted gold up on the wall and said, yeah, there are gold records. And then last week, we had a box returned. Someone's granddaughter was cleaning out a garage. We had a box returned with the real official gold records, as well as recordings of the 1967 Australian National Band Championships from Launceston and all sorts of great stuff.
Wow.
So it's been pretty exciting. So I'm excited to try and get all that stuff digitized and
Band history.
yeah.
History week.
And I've been playing my tuba as well and buzzing and practicing a lot. And States is going to be fun. That's
Oh,
what's
won't
going
it
on.
be fun?
Yeah. Megan,
Hey.
what's going on with you, Megan? What have you been up to the last
Oh,
week or so?
Megan must be very busy. with band
Um,
stuff.
Yeah, I'm not as cool as you guys, but I did go to Women in Brass, which was very fun. And I also went to the Footscray concert and I played in the mass trombone item. where they tried to get 76 trombones. I don't think there was 76, but there was a lot of trombones. So that was pretty exciting. Lots of band gigs for my own band. We always do Flemington Racecourse on Anzac Day. They do a big ceremony there and we play there, which is kind of cool. And then what else have I been doing? Oh, Mini Valley's second band, Aberfeldy, went to Bendigo, which was very exciting. Oh. And we debuted our brand new polo shirts, which we got a grant for. So the first outing for our new polos, which was cool.
What's the polo look like? Can you give us a bit of a fashion here? Yeah.
The Aberfeldy's colours light blue, and navy. So it's a navy polo with light blue accents. Very fashionable.
That's quite tasteful.
But for a lot of them, it was their first ever contest. We've got a member who's 11 members who are well into their 60s. So it's a wide spread of ages and they did a really good job. So that was probably the banding highlight, I think, for recent time.
I forgot about acid brass. There was acid brass too. You did acid brass, didn't you, Tim?
I did acid brass. Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that. Yeah. I played in the
That
middle
was
of the
fun.
city. That was really fun. Did you have a big crowd?
Like
When you played it? Yeah.
I did. I played it with Dandenong. My kid was in the newspaper. He was semi-famous, because they asked Dandenong who were their oldest and youngest members, and they're like, our oldest is like 85, and our youngest is 7, and they're like, wow, let's get pictures of them. And they came and did this like quite enormous photo shoot with Mikey. So that was fun.
That's cool.
Alan. Yes. And then they were both at the gig and Mikey was playing the cowbell. It was a very important cowbell part. It was like rocking along, gets a bit distracted, slows down. We're like, keep the beat, Mikey. We had a cool gang of ox percussion at the back. I was trying to explain it to my husband and he's like, isn't that like when a DJ does samples? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how does that translate to a brass band? I'm like, like, the tuba's doing lots of crazy stuff and then horns will come in with a weird boppy bit and then they'll stop and then someone else will play another weird boppy bit and the drum kit goes nuts and that was fun. Yeah. So many gigs. Love it.
Gigs. We're so busy, us community musicians.
Busy. What else? I met a boy in Wodonga. I said I'd talk about him on the podcast. Why?
What? You met a boy?
No, I am already married, but he's on this mission. I was going to talk about this later, but I'm getting very distracted and muddled in my thoughts. He is on this mission. He's from Wodonga. He's named Billy, and he's come to Melbourne for 2 weeks on work experience, and he's trying to go to all the brass bands, and like he's working out on what night they rehearse. What? And he's like, but I was like, that's such a cool thing to do. Isn't that amazing?
Billy.
Someone should do that.
Good on you, Billy.
Yeah. Good on you, Billy.
It's impressive, but you'd need to be here for like 6 months to hit all the Monday rehearsals, I reckon.
Yeah, there's a lot of Monday rehearsals.
Yeah, I reckon Monday's probably the most popular rehearsal night in Australia. What do you reckon?
In Victoria, it is. Other states have different rehearsals. I've had this argument with people. Apparently, Monday night's a Victorian thing. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
I like a Monday night. You're enough into the week, but you're not like a Thursday night. It's pretty brutal. By the time I get to Thursday, I want to stay at home in front of the TV, right?
Well, but
we're podcasting on a Thursday.
We're podcasting on a Thursday night, and I've just actually been at a band rehearsal. So, there you go. Hey, Robin, can you remind me, when we do these podcasts, is there like a structure or something that we follow? If so,
the structure. Well, yeah, okay. We've got a lot of catching up. Well, that was the structure. That was how was your week? And that was very abridged for me because we had a lot of things to talk about. And I could go into detail about all those things, but I won't because we've got lots more things to talk about because we've got to hear Megan's life story. We've got to ask her some questions, talk about how States is going, how Nationals is going. I need to hear news from around Australia. Well, should we start with everyone finding out who Megan is? Because they might not know.
So let me introduce Megan, and then Megan, if you want to tell us a bit about yourself. For anyone who doesn't know, Megan Stapleton, president of the Victorian Bands League, plays the bass trombone with Moonee Valley Brass and is involved.
Let her tell it, Tim.
Okay. And Megan, how did you get to where you are? How did it all start? Go.
I'm actually a violin player originally. Don't hold it against me. I know, scandal. And in high school, you had to learn an instrument, but you couldn't learn an instrument you already learned. And I wasn't really too fast. And my best friend's like, I'm going to do trombone. So I was like, sure, sounds cool. Why not? She does not play anymore. And I obviously still play. So that was one of those random life choices that turned out really well for me. And then my parents were down in the local paper. They're not musos at all, but they saw this ad saying, we're looking for people for the local brass band. And they're like, you're home on a Monday night. So I was like, quite young, just starting high school. They just dropped me off one night and left me there. And I was quite shy. So I walked on in, sat down, and I didn't read treble clef, but I was too embarrassed to say anything. So I mimed for about 3 weeks straight, just didn't play a note. And then eventually the conductor clued on and was like, okay, do you read bass clef? And I was like, yes, I do. So then I started playing on bass trombone, but I had this terrible pea shooter. It wasn't really bass trombone. I was just playing the high notes. So eventually I learned treble clef. I joined the youth band. I made lots of cool friends. And that's why I got interested in like running the VBL, because one of the band managers of the youth band was a former BBL president. And I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. So I joined the exec in 2003 and became BBL president in 2012. And that's me.
Wow. So you were literally
shortest
dropped
life
off.
story we've ever had.
And you were literally just like dropped off at a rehearsal.
Yes. Just dropped off. My
And
parents
you
were
didn't
like,
know anyone. Yeah. You were just like, I'm
Nope.
going in.
no anyone there. They just abandoned me. There were like beers under the chairs. I think if my parents had come in, they might not have left me there, but they kind of were just like, it'll be fine. And it was quite a small band. The band was rebuilding at that stage. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I just kept going. And then eventually I can't imagine doing anything else on a Monday night. It just...
Wow. So it's been Moonee Valley. So that was Moonee Valley and you've just been there the whole time and you did their youth band, but...
Yeah, I've played with lots of other bands. I wouldn't say I've played with every band in Victoria, but I've played with nearly every band in Victoria. I help out a lot, or if I go to an AGM, let me play with them in their rehearsal. So I do enjoy visiting other bands. That's quite fun, sort of seeing how they do things. But yeah, no, Moonee Valley's home. Not going anywhere.
Oh. And I'd just like to dig in a little bit. So you were dropped off at the first rehearsal and you're like, I'm not sure. So the second rehearsal you went to, was that like your parents were just dropping off again? You're like, no, actually, I do want to go back. Or how did you stay with it after you dropped off that first time?
So it wasn't really a choice thing. My parents were like, you're doing this. And I'm the oldest child, so I just follow the rules. I don't argue. I'm an obedient type. So I just sort of kept going. And then John Breen, who was taking Moonee Valley, got me into youth band. And then I started to make friends my own age. I think that's when it really clicked for me. I was like, oh, this is cool, because everyone else in Moonee Valley felt 100 years older than me. They probably weren't that old. But when you're a teenager, everyone feels a lot older. And then, yeah, that's how I met other people from other bands, how I met Danny. We actually joined the BBL exec at the same time. So, yeah, I think getting into the youth band's what kept me in banding. And at that stage, you had to play in a home band to play in youth band. They were quite strict about that. So
Cool.
It's because there was the youth band was going to be an excuse for city bands to steal country kids. Like the kids would come along and then they'd be lured to the big smoke by these fancy city bands and not play with the home bands anymore. So the rule was you had to keep playing with your home band to be in the youth band.
So just going back to what we talked about at the start, I wonder if Billy got back to Wodonga or if he got lured in by some of these big city bands that he's been to rehearsals at.
Really, no, he goes back to Wodonga.
Okay.
He's a good kid, Billy. He goes back to Wodonga. He just goes to the Victorian Youth State Band. So they were at the Alpine Festival and they're sounding great. So do they not have to have this rule anymore? The kids can just play in it no matter what. But
yeah, you can. Any kid under 25 is welcome to play in it. So
okay.
Currently, the band is like bursting at the seams. They sound really good. I went and visited them in Tasmania last year on the Tasmanian tour. I haven't spent that much time around bulk numbers of teenagers for a while, so I felt super old was my number one takeaway. But number two, I was just impressed by how good the kids were. Like they were really friendly to each other and really helpful and were setting up, and the standard of the band was really high and they seemed to be having a really good time. It reminded me of when I was there, but everyone was sort of friends and it had a really good energy about it. So that was really exciting to see.
Kids are really well behaved these days. I don't know. Were we that well behaved, Tim?
No, we were the naughty kids,
No.
I think.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, look at them. They're all sitting in a concert watching, having good manners. You hear all these things about the next generation. I was like, oh, they're probably better behaved than us. But, oh, they're cute. They're so cute. So, and then you got onto the VBL and you've been running that for 12 years.
Yeah, amazing. I had an 18-month break after the 2018 Nationals. Needed a change. Some time. I actually didn't. I do want to come back at some point, but when Kevin Cameron stepped away suddenly, just before COVID happened, it kind of all fell into place. It felt like the right time to come back, I was feeling sort of re-energized. And
what kind of things do you do as the president of the VBL?
Yeah, what does a president of the
It
VBL
helps.
do? Yeah.
so
You know.
you go to a lot of AGMs because a lot of the bands present awards. That's the cool side. Seeing the bands and seeing the bands in their natural habitat and meeting the members. And for them, it's kind of a big deal, particularly regional bands, have the VBL president come out and, you're this like mythical figure. And I kind of feel like a bit of a fraud because I'm just like a normal person. But it's always really cool to go out and present the awards to people and to hear stories like people who've been in the band for like 50 years straight, or people who've just joined the band, or the person who's joined the committee for the first time. And all those kind of things are really, I enjoy that. I love seeing sort of bands, just be bands and do their thing. But apart from that, it's a lot of paperwork. People might think it's really exciting. It is not. It's a lot of emails, a lot of paperwork, a lot of listening to complaints, listening to people who definitely think they could do a better job than you but never put their hand up. That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mostly about organizing, and that kind of is a strength of mine. So I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think
So you got-
I was going to say I think Victorian Banding is lucky to have you there organising stuff through, because without strong organisation and without all the people who are presidents of state band associations or the National Association, a lot of what we do as community bands becomes less and less structured and less community behind it sometimes. So thank you, Megan. Thanks everyone who's
Thank you,
organising stuff out
Megan.
there.
You're
I can say
always there.
Thank you. I can say confidently that every state president just wants what's best for their state.
Mhm.
And that's what everyone's trying to do. And we all do it differently, and we definitely don't always agree, but we all want what's best for our state. So
Everyone out there is that we got
So-
the best. Do you think?
I don't know. We've got to be impartial, Robin. We've got to be impartial. Everyone is
Okay.
doing a great job. Everyone's doing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there are. But I
And-
only know Megan, so I think Megan's awesome.
So Megan, and then there's the VBL. And does the VBL is it full? Do you need more people there helping out and organising stuff?
No. Quite a few vacancies at the moment,
Mhm.
which is not always the case, but we've had a few vacancies for a couple of years now. So if you're interested in being an exec councillor, you don't have to be a delegate of a band. You just have to be somebody who wants to get involved. You can sign up now. Just email president@vbl.org.
And what does an exec member of the VBL do? Like what are they expected to do, or what would you want them to do? How does that work out if someone's like, oh, could be interesting, but like, what's an exec?
Yeah, fair question. So you turn up once a month to a meeting, the second Tuesday of the month. It's always second Tuesday. It's at 7:30. Our meetings go for around 45 minutes once a month. And all you're required to do is have an opinion and be respectful. Just two things. So it's pretty easy. I totally understand people are busy. They have lives and families and kids and jobs and all those kind of things. So I don't expect anyone to sign up and be like, I've got 50 hours a week, can't wait to do some band paperwork, because that's not realistic. But banding's stronger when we hear from more people. And lots of people in Victoria have opinions about how we can do things. But if they don't share those opinions, they don't get heard. So we've got a pretty diverse committee currently, but I'd love to hear from more people on there and just, what they think Victorian banding can do better or differently, or what would work for them. So, it's not really that much of a commitment.
Let's join up. Let's go.
Yeah, you really-
Let's go, everyone.
Well, you need a diverse committee to represent all the different people. Like you need young and old. A lot of people think, oh, it'll just be old people. But no, we need like young people. If you get like people just out of high school starting uni on a committee, they can give their thoughts about how youth bands should be run, etc. It's like hard for old people to say, we think it should be this way, when you don't get the opinions of the young'uns, right?
Well, that's the thing. Danny and I were 18 when we joined the exec, and we were definitely the kids when we joined it. And we kind of are still some of the younger ones on there. So, and that was I don't want to out how old Danny is, but we're not 18 anymore. It's been a few years. So, it'd be good to see some more young people. We had a youth band member join just this last AGM. So we had our AGM on the 19th of May, and Fern joined, which is really exciting. So great to have her on there. And our minute secretary is younger as well. She's been there for a few years now, Louise. So we definitely have people coming through. But we need more. We need more people.
Great. Oh, should we talk about nationals?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
All right.
so Megan, what's your role with the nationals next year? They're going to be held in Victoria, and you're the chair of the organising committee who's arranging. Is that how it works out?
Contest administrator and contest supervisor. they're both roles that are defined in the NBCA contest guidelines and contest rules. So I'm sure you're familiar with those documents, guys. Probably read them all the time. But
Yeah, and so Robin, that acronym, Robin, is NBCA.
NCBA.
NCBA. Great.
That's
Yep, cool.
So, yeah, basically that means I'm for overseeing logistics and the admin and making sure the event runs smoothly and also making sure the rules are followed. There's also a contest liaison officer that's appointed by the NBCA. We haven't finalised that person yet, but they're kind of the big three official titled roles. But in more practical terms, yeah, I'm leading the committee that's organising the nationals. And obviously we've had some news in that space recently. Everyone's heard that unfortunately they're no longer in Bendigo. And that's actually pretty sad I can't speak for everybody, but I'm certainly disappointed by that. The Bendigo region lobbied really hard for this nationals. We locked it in Bendigo before COVID. We had some great chats with the council who've been so supportive of the event. At that stage, when we met with them, there were plans. They had permits issued to build a number of additional large-scale hotels in the region. But also, in addition, since we had sort of booked the nationals in, the National Street Rod Championships chose to hold their national event in Eastern Bendigo at the same time.
What rods? The car people.
Yeah. Well, I made a joke at the exec meeting being like, that's not going to be a crossover audience. And one of our exec members is like, yes, it is. I'm going to both. And I was like, whoa, did not see that coming. Very excited for them though. But it just meant the accommodation was even tighter than it would have been. So unfortunately, we made the call. Maybe in hindsight, we should have made the call earlier, but I think it's very easy to say that when you're not the one in the decision, assessing all the options, liaising with the council, trying to decide things. So, look, I know this has been hard news for some people to hear. Other people are excited by it. But me, I mostly feel sad to know how excited the Bendigo region was to host this nationals. And the council was really, trying to support us as much as they could. But yes, we are back in Melbourne. I can't tell you where it's going to be held just yet, but we've actually, in fact, I saw another venue this week, which was very exciting, very nice looking venue. So yeah, we've got a couple of options. They're all on the east side of Melbourne. So yeah, I'm hoping to make an announcement there very shortly. School holidays has delayed us though. It's not school holidays yet, but it is for private schools. Mm-hmm. And once school holidays hit, getting a response from schools is challenging. So we may wait until mid-July, but I'm hoping to have an announcement before then if I can.
That is sad because I like a trip. And I was like, if it's in Bendigo at least, because we were still going to go and stay down there. And nationals in Melbourne, if you're from Melbourne, is a bit of it always feels like a bit of
Hey, Robin, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a house swap for nationals? You can go on a trip. We can timeshare.
No, it's not about just going in a house. You've got to stay. The whole band has to stay. It has to be the whole band. Bonding. It's like
part of the problem though, because you didn't just need accommodation for the interstate bands. We needed accommodation for all the bands in Bendigo. And actually, it was the Melbourne bands who'd already booked up most of the accommodation, which was the problem.
We've got so many Melbourne bands. A lot went to Adelaide. For us, because I'm on the east, people might not understand. I'm an hour from Melbourne on the other side. So it would have been 3 hours each way for me to get to Bendigo. So I was going to stay in Bendigo anyway. But we filled up accommodation. When they were accommodation's running out, our band's quick, get in. And I'm shouldn't we leave it for the interstate bands? It was a bit of an ethical decision. We're nah, let's just book it for us. But then,
Speaking of lots of bands in Victoria right now, we've got the Victorian State Band Championships coming up. I've seen a list of all the bands competing, all the numbers. The numbers look really, really high. How come there are so many bands in Victoria and how come they're all coming to states this year? That's awesome.
Is it every band? It's almost every band, right?
It's a band because we have more than 80 bands registered in Victoria. A lot of those aren't competing bands. So yeah, of the bands coming, 35 bands said they'll come in. 2 bands unfortunately have withdrawn, which just happens. Other things come up, members can't make it. But yeah, 33 bands is the highest band in total in decades. I don't have records that show higher, but I also don't have every state numbers going back forever. But definitely in the last couple of decades is the highest ever attendance. I think it's because Victorian banding is particularly strong at the moment. Lots of bands doing things. I think we've come out of, after COVID, we were a little weak, a bit slow to get back for very understandable reasons. But yeah, now we're back. Bands are just growing. We've had a number of new bands join in the last year or so, particularly concert bands, which has been really exciting to see more concert bands get involved in Victoria. And I think the state's been in Melbourne for the first time ever in the history of the VBL, has definitely made an impact. So the VBL is 93 years old this year. So, yeah, first ever time in Melbourne, which was a big decision, but I think it's paid off really well given the entry numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
for
this
the
is
benefit of everyone else, yeah, they used to be in Ballarat, which is like an hour and a half from Melbourne. So like a drivable distance, but a bit annoying if you want to stay at the pub. As everyone knows, that is my most important consideration.
Proximity to pub. And I think it's really exciting for a state championship. So if other people don't know, the Victorian States this year is going to go Friday night, all day Saturday into Saturday night, and all day Sunday as well. So it's basically a 3-day event for a state championship. No other state has a 3-day event for their state championships. It's absolutely monstrously huge and really exciting, and only a couple of weeks away. My conductor keeps pointing out that I need to practice to get ready for that.
Yeah. Let's not stress me out. It's a month away. There's plenty of time to still do logistics.
I can still practice.
Yeah, we've got A grade on the Friday night, 4 bands in A grade. Very exciting. And then Saturday morning is the concert bands. There are 5 concert bands competing. And then we have the D grade bands. There are 7 D grade bands. And then we have B grade in the evening, so 3 B grade bands. And then we've got the junior brass bands, 4 junior brass bands on Sunday morning. Very exciting. Then the epic C grade that never ends. It's going to go for 8 hours. 10 C grade bands. So,
oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's like that's completely epic.
Yeah.
And I've agreed to maybe help out a band in C grade as well, potentially, maybe.
Not my band, so I'm very curious as to which band it is.
my lips are sealed, but like I've looked at that C grade test piece and it's a ripper.
There is some stuff to play in there. Yeah, C grade is the most happening band. There are going to be more C grade bands at the Victorian States than there were at the Nationals.
It's same with the D grade. There are only 3 D grade bands at Nationals, and it's
going to be so heaps and heaps of bands coming. Really exciting. And there's bands coming like Sale and Stonington that haven't been seen at States in years and years and years and years. So I'm super excited. I love the States weekend. I love seeing everyone. I love hearing the bands. It's going to be a great weekend. So I'm pumped.
And you'll be there, Tim?
I'll be there. I'll be there with cameras. So if you're someone who's not in Victoria, don't worry. You watch the live stream and hear all the amazing Victorian bands. It's going to be so much fun, and lots of interviews and stuff as well.
Yay! Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting! I told my band 4 rehearsals left, and they almost cried. They're like, "What?"
It has been a bit tricky though, because only 2 weeks after school holidays, and a lot of bands have complained that they lose a lot of members during the school holidays, so they kind of lose a chunk of rehearsal time right near the event. My conductor would say that's a personal problem, but I wouldn't say that because that would be rude. My conductor would say that. So we are
these rude conductors.
So rude. But we are looking to move it back to mid-August next year. And I can say, spoiler alert, that the States are 95% likely to be in Bendigo next year.
It's like sorry, we stole Nationals from you.
Yeah,
thank you.
The Bendigo, I'm grateful for the support the Bendigo bands and the council gave me, and I feel really bad that we couldn't do the event there. And Bendigo is a great area. They've got great venues. It's really nice. It's not that far. Well, not that far from my house. It's probably further for you, Robin. So yeah, I'm excited to take the States there next year. It's not 100% confirmed, but it's looking really likely. So that's exciting.
Oh, and you don't like sharing information that's not confirmed. So that's like heard it here first, isn't it?
Yeah, that's breaking news.
Breaking. We've done it, Robin. We broke some news. We've done it. We should get one of those like air horns or something, like the sound effects. Breaking news.
I can give you some breaking news if you want, some actual breaking news.
Okay, yep, goss.
Goss, because we had the NBCA conference just a week or so ago. And that's when all the NBCA councils get together in the one room. Shout out to Yamaha Australia for hosting us in their office. Thank you very much, Yamaha. And we talk about all the rules and all that kind of stuff. And we have changed one of the rules for the Nationals next year, that you no longer require every single person to sign in. Only one person signs for the whole band.
Oh, hallelujah.
Or epic sign-on sheets.
And the lines outside the door and like get in alphabetical order.
Do you know, like I work with computers mostly, and I think when I had to sign on at Nationals was maybe the first time I really picked up a pen all year. And I was like, how do I write my name? What does that look like? What's a signature on file? Where did that come from? Is that my writing?
So do we don't have to like collect them a week before either? Or do we still have to do
No.
that?
No.
Oh, God.
But-
Because some of the kids are like, these kids are just like, a signature. They don't even have one. And I'm like,
No.
make it the same. Then I'm like stressed. I'm like, and I hardly ever sign my name. I was like, post, credit cards. I was like, what if it's not the same? What if they don't let me on the stage? Even worse if I'm the conductor. I don't know.
volunteer young as 12-year-old, it won't be the same, but it's for the best, I think. So yeah, no more sign on at Nationals. Heard it here first.
Wow.
Yay. That's a great. See,
I think that's good. That's going to streamline everything.
We don't move with the
Yeah.
times. All right. We better do Megan's questionnaire. I bet she's got stolen things. I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
What? Megan got stolen from the VBL gold records in her basement. If you have a basement. No. Okay. It's time for the questionnaire.
This is the quiz. This is the questionnaire. This is the favorite section. Megan
Oh.
Stapleton.
Tim's rolling
Do
his
you-
eyes in case you can't see.
No, well, you can't see because it's audio, Robin. It's audio. Just imagine me not rolling my eyes, loyal listeners, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Megan Stapleton, do you have anything in your house that belongs to another band or a band you don't play with, or perhaps the VBL, something that maybe the band doesn't know you have?
I have a Moreland band uniform when Moreland Band used to be a thing because I played with them. I currently have a Hyde Street and a Glenferrie stuff in my closet from when I helped them out at here. I didn't give them back.
That jacket, that Glenferrie jacket, that looks a bit fancy and expensive. You should give that back.
I haven't damaged it. It's just safely hanging in my closet. I just forgot to give it back and then I keep forgetting to give it back. Yeah, same thing. I have a Hyde polo that I used for a gig once and never returned. Although who wants to use polo? I don't know. Anyway, I've got a bunch of VBL paperwork, but it's really boring. There's nowhere else to put it because the VBL stuff's in storage. So that's not really exciting.
Just like pages and pages of signatures.
Oh, yeah.
So- I've got some of my own banding trophies up behind me. Nope. There they are, sort of up there.
Oh.
So we can see trophies behind Megan right now, loyal listeners. We
Yeah.
can see trophies. It's true.
But no big band ones. They are actually all at the Moonee Valley band room. So most of the VBL stuff's in storage, but stuff we need to use all the time, Moonee Valley kindly, with minimal complaining, lets me store it in their band room so I can access it more easily without having to go into the storage unit. So the VBL honor boards and a whole bunch of trophies currently there.
So no tubers hiding in your closet. Skeletons.
I live in a pretty small apartment, so I
Nice.
definitely know hanging around.
I'm the opposite now. When I get something from band in my house, like we come home from a marching gig and there's a bass drum in my house, I cannot wait to get it. I'm like, get this out of my house. It is too large. I also have a small house and children who'll probably break stuff. Like, ooh, a drum, bang, bang. Like, please don't break it.
I've actually been cutting down recently, and now I've only got 3 tubers at my place. So
That's
I've been
pretty good.
I've been really culling, I've got
I
actually
wouldn't
You
one of
still
Sue
don't have
Bradley's
like a
tubers.
main tuber, right?
No, I've
Did
got
you
my
get
main
your
tuber
tube-
back. I got my main
Oh.
tuber back from Oswin's, but Sue Bradley lent me a tuber that I need to get back to her. And it's just sitting there staring at me, looking at me, judging me.
Tim.
Hey, get that back.
Hi, Sue.
I don't think Sue listens to our podcast, but sure. How fun. Okay, Megan, what's your favorite instrument, but not including the trombone or the bass trombone?
Or the violin.
If you can play anything, or the violin.
That's barely an instrument. Euphonium.
Yay! That's the first person who said that. It's my
Really?
favorite too.
Yeah.
I think everyone has picked weird things.
Yeah.
I think we've not asked everyone that question. I think I haven't had the list in front of me for a while. Wait. Well, why is the euphonium the king of instruments? Is that a load?
It's close to the trombone in terms of sound, but also the sound you can get with the euphonium, like a really top solo euphonium player it's incredible to listen to. Just like the range of color and the depth of sound. Plus they always get the cool parts in band, the euphonium player. Yeah, the really beaver parts just go to the euphonium players. So I definitely times the bass trombone gets a lot of semi-breves. So yeah.
I find of all the bass trombone players I know, they don't have like, grass is greener. They're always like, I play the bass trombone and I'm not moving.
It's the best
Like,
instrument, I think.
so many
yeah.
bands have a like really crusted on bass trombone player. Do they not? Like, I'm talking 20 years
Whoa,
plus.
whoa. What do you mean crusted on? That's a bit.
I'm just saying they've been there a long time. Both
well,
our bands, our
long
bass trombone
serving.
players are pretty much the longest serving members of the two
Well, yeah,
bands. It's like there's
I
nothing keeping them up.
my band on bass drum, but I wouldn't say I'm
Not
crusted on.
I'm just
Technically still in my 30s, still very youthful. Thank you.
Very youthful.
So yes, very youthful. So yeah, no, I think bass trombone, once you play it, you can't go back. It is like, it's just got this darkness to it. And when you can make it crackle, yeah, you just don't want to do anything else.
love a bass trombone. All right.
Not
What have I got this question? What do you like outside brass band? Why don't I write that?
What else is there?
What is there anything else out there? Like what? Tell us more.
We're not interested in your life outside brass band. Do you have any much time for a life outside brass band? I think it was supposed to be music. I think Looney said, like, do you like other music or something?
I conducted choir, which is quite cool. I really love doing that. So that's really fun. The Mini Valley Community Choir. I work a lot of hours. I run Helen Australia, which is a music publishing company. So that takes a lot of my time. So yeah, between work and band and I guess sleep, there's not a lot else in my life, but I like it back like that.
Oh, all right.
That really resonates with me. That really resonates with me. Yeah, absolutely. What else is there?
What else is there? Do you have a good falling over story? Has anything ever fallen over? Music stand, people, things,
On stage, at rehearsal.
microphones, chairs.
No, but I had a drum major when they were twirling their baton around, twirl it into my trombone slide during a march, and I couldn't move my slide, and I was stuck with my trombone in fourth position. I had to do the rest of the march in fourth position. It was the worst.
That's the best I've ever heard. Where was this
Did
march?
it slam into your teeth and stuff? Like, you're getting...
Yeah, bounced on my face. Didn't break any teeth, thankfully, but I felt the jar. It was down Swanson Street, and it was expensive, would be how I'd summarize that.
They have a special machine for that when you dent the trombone slide. Like, there's just like an actual machine for straightening them out, right?
You know what? I actually just gave it to some experts and then paid them money, so I'm not sure how they did it, but I imagine they would have some kind of special tool to do it.
Make drum major pay for that.
Yeah, no, the band helped out, which was very nice of them.
You gotta be confident with the twirl. What is it? It's not called a twirl.
It's a mace
toss.
The toss, the mace toss.
Did you do that, Tim? Weren't you saying
did.
there was like in the pipe bands they all have the
Yeah. So
drum
it's a rule that I'll be looking to put forward to the NCBA one day. That like we should have a specific drum major competition for drum majors to do cool stuff, because they do it at the New Zealand pipe bands, and like it's just like a scratch band or a band that just marches back and forth while the drum major does tricks, and it's really fun.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's something. There's potential there in the street march. I definitely think. Who do we talk to about, putting an extra, like a drum major off in there at the end?
The contest rules get published on September 1st every year, and they have to be changed by the NBCA Council, and the NBCA Council's next meeting on July 14th. So you need to send an email before July 14th with your proposal, and we can talk about it.
Say there's a special drum major. But does anyone, like, at the last street march, Tim, you watched all the bands. None of the drum majors really tossed, did they?
Yes, they did. The drum major of the Hyde Street Youth Band, which I think was band number one off.
So one. Any other tosses?
I don't believe. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I wish I encouraged it to me.
Nice. Definitely twirled it, but no tossing, I don't think, for me.
A lot of twirling. The Marlborough band from New Zealand was very impressive with their mace work. Yeah. But there's a really cool trick I've seen them do at the New Zealand pipes where they're twirling the mace, and they twirl the mace around their neck. Ooh. And it's like sort of like hula hooping with a stick around your neck, and they grab it again, and it's like it is so entertaining to watch. It's really fun.
Wow.
But you got to be careful of the trombones behind you. I'm even less inclined to do a toss now because of their slides and Megan's accident. Everyone's been warned.
You take risks when you march.
You do. I just want to take this opportunity to say a big hello to Chris Lee and Ben Milne, who were involved in the Great Australian Mace Off. I don't know if you remember, we had the Nationals in Brisbane in 2019, I think it was. And they were both saying that they could toss the mace the highest and the fastest and just do the better tricks. So at the end of the street march, they actually came up and they did a little, trick show for me, and it was pretty entertaining. I have to show you, Robert. You might have missed that because you were busy.
I didn't go to that Nationals 2019. One of my biggest regrets, because then we didn't have them for another 2 years. Oh, was very sad. But I did have I had a baby, I think.
You think?
No, I was going to say, because we talked about this at Women in Brass. So Women in Brass, we have my favorite part of that. There was like all the girls, awesome. I love like mixing bands. And we were talking about that, remember, Megan, at the pub? And they're like, oh, why is there, not a Men in Brass? It's like, well, pick any other reason. The reason I love Women in Brass is because we mix up all our usual bands, get together with different people. And that's why I love Billy's story. It is about visiting all the bands and going different places. And so I love the idea. Oh, you go.
We had a plan for that. It may have been beer fueled at the pub after Women in Brass. Okay. Can't confirm that. But the plan was to do the Victorian version of State of Origin, but within the own state. So you basically divide the state into 4, and you have to make 4 bands from wherever you live in the state based on the equal dividing up of the state. I reckon we should do it. How fun would that be? Come together.
Yeah, but there was a lot of talk about the boundary lines. I think that was where the greatest contention did lay.
Well, it's
where's the road?
In the West, really. That's people are just jealous. I understand it, but if the better people just live in the West, that's just how it goes,
It sure is. It sure is. Once again, Megan, that really resonates with me. Yeah.
The East and the Southeast, I think that was a bit of a wonky line of how we would draw that one, so it would be fair. But it sounds so fun. I like the idea of a singles band, even though I'm not single. I mean, we keep talking back to Bandy Wants a Bandy, and like everyone who's single makes a band, and as soon as you couple up, you're out of the band. Because anyone I told that idea to thinks it's really terrible, especially any single friends. Would you do?
I think, Robin, I've heard that we can write into the NCBA until the 16th of July with proposals that then the NCBA is obliged to read and discuss. So
yeah. I think it should be sponsored. We should all do a tax to help our single friends find a bandy and bandies together. I love this fun stuff. I want to mix because, so then we couldn't get our band along to Alpine Festival. We couldn't get enough people to go. And they're like, just come anyway. And I want to practice what I preach. Now, we talked about brass band tourism a few times. It's like, well, Fenella did invite us. So we're going to go. So Ben and I went and we played with the Jonga, and now I've got all these new friends. Isn't that amazing?
I was going to say my favorite thing about doing my streamy interviewee stuff is I meet so many people from so many bands, and everyone is so lovely and so nice, and it's such a wonderful community. So the more that bands can be talking with each other, and I always get really surprised that people in bands don't know other people in other bands. To me, everyone will get on so well. Everyone's doing the same stuff and is a nice person. So it's wonderful to see that mixing and interaction. I love it.
We're all very similar. God, I didn't know you, Megan, before Women in Brass, and now I've got a new best friend. Aren't we best friends now?
Yeah, we hang out.
We hung out again at the next Women in Brass. I was like, hey, my friend.
That is true. That's actually exactly what you said, and it was lovely to see.
But normally you're on the west side and I'm on the east side. We don't really see each other. But
are there more questions for your quiz, or am I out of the woods?
I don't have any more written down, but have you got a question that we can ask our next person, and I can take one of these off my sticky note on my desktop?
You could ask them you should ask them what they would do if they were in charge of Victorian banding or banding in their own state.
What they would do. I like that question.
Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes people don't want to hear suggestions, but if someone came up to me and said, hey, I've got a great idea for what would be good for Victorian banding, I'd be like, tell me all about it. I want to hear people, because there are things we can do, things we can definitely do better, and some things we do really well.
Singles band. I've told you that, the singles band idea.
Yeah, I've noted it down. Run that by the BBL exec and get back to you on that one if that's all right.
Well, that's okay. It doesn't affect me. I'm married, so. But I'd go to a concert. If you had a singles band concert, I'd go to it. And I'd go to the pub and just people watch.
I just wanted to bring up a couple of things, Robin, as we might be moving into our next segment, which is looking ahead to what's going on next. There's actually a
True.
lot of really fun stuff that people might want to get out and get to, yourself included, over the next few weeks. So next weekend in Melbourne is the ANBOC conference. It's Australian Band and Orchestra Convention. So I'm going to be there doing a bit of filmy, streamy stuff. And Hal Leonard will be there, I'm sure. And there's lots of... It's a good group of people who are sometimes a little bit more sort of school education focused than community band focused, but it's quite wide ranging. So there's going to be a bunch of concert bands performing there. I think the Yamaha Winds Ensemble is there as well. So it's happening next weekend. The weekend after that is the New Zealand Brass Band Championships. So anyone who's free the weekend after should head across to Auckland, because it's a relatively cheap flight from Australia. If you're going to, you could fly from Melbourne to Sydney, or you can fly from Sydney to Auckland. It costs about the same. I'm really looking forward to getting over there and saying hello to all the New Zealand bands. And then the weekend after that, I'll be hanging out with my friend Sarah Willis from the Berlin Philharmonic, who's coming across to Australia and doing some stuff in Melbourne. And then we're going to be having a big French horn day up in Brisbane at the Brisbane Con. So there's lots of really cool stuff going on. If you want to get outside your band and what it's doing and see what else is happening in the musical world, there's so much stuff happening. And then the week after that is States.
2 weeks up.
Victorian States. We're an international podcast. I wonder
Victorian
when
States. Well, the New South Wales States is the 24th, 25th of August. The Tasmanian States is the same as the grand final weekend. And I believe October 7th is the Queensland States up in Maryborough, because I'm going to be going to all of them. Yay. Robin, you should come.
No.
Why not go visit another state? Could be fun.
Yeah, we've gone to Tassie States a few times when Nationals has been in Melbourne, and it's like, we'll do a trip somewhere and let's just go down and have fun. Love it. Yeah. Well, that's so exciting. Will we have another podcast before States? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll be doing a podcast from New Zealand for the New Zealand Nationals.
Will we?
Yeah, we will. You heard it here first.
Okay. We better get a guest.
Yeah, who do you want?
A Kiwi guest.
Obviously.
A New Zealand person. Okay.
Maybe,
all right. You're in charge of finding the
Helen
guest.
might want to join us. Yeah. Great.
Okay. Yay. Okay. And that's everything.
So we need
Is that our show?
We usually have to sing Year of the Dragon as an outro. Unless, Megan, you've got another piece you'd like us to sing as an outro.
All right. What about something we did in Women in Brass? Gale Force.
Oh. Yeah. I
reckon you guys should do. That'd be great. Yeah, let's.
You said you sing in a choir, and you love it.
If you want to conduct us, we can sing Gale Force if you conduct us, Megan. Yeah.
Well, which bit?
The good
start
bit.
or the end?
Yeah.
The good bit.
Is that like?
Hi, Maureen.
Oh, the bass trombone doesn't play that.
Thanks, everyone. Catch you on the next podcast. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.